What's going on, Saints fans? We're going to be discussing the latest news and rumors and all sorts of storylines coming from Saints training camp, as today's session just wrapped up a few hours ago. So we got a lot to discuss. And just to kind of give you a quick little rundown of basically the most important storylines, here's what Nick Underhill put out on X, formerly known as Twitter. He did report Olave. He returned. Marshon Lattimore was also present. He returned after dealing with an injury, and he was watching from the sidelines. It also got really scrappy today. There's a lot of fights. Alontae Taylor was talking that mess, baby. All the clips on social media are really, really fun. And on top of that, he also had a really, really good day. I mean, I'm really excited about the development of number one, and I think he's going to be a dangerous player for New Orleans this year. Chase Young continues to dominate, and on top of that, there was a lot of pressure from both edges against the first-team offensive line. So I will say this, don't panic about that offensive line report right there. Early in training camp, typically the defense wins a lot of the reps and wins a lot of the days early on because the offense is still trying to find their groove. So I do think that it's a good news that the defensive line is looking good, but I'm not going to hit the panic button quite yet on the offensive line. And speaking of the defensive line, Dennis Allen, he had some really good words to say about Isaiah Foskey, the Saints' second-round draft pick just a season ago. He has actually taken a large leap at training camp this year, and last season we didn't get to see a ton from Foskey, and I do think that he is a player as a very, very high motor, and just like Dennis Allen, I want to see a little bit more from him. I want to see him cut it loose. I want to see Isaiah Foskey be a really high-energy player because that's what the Saints drafted him to be. And I do think that he has the capability of becoming a really dangerous pass rusher. It's just a matter of, can he continue to grow and can he continue to develop? Now, some news. Got more good news. Chris Olave. Remember, he was dealing with that hip injury. He landed weird. It's kind of like a what is going on kind of thing. Well, he was present and he participated 100% throughout practice. So really good news there. There's a lot of clips of Chris Olave going up against Alontae Taylor on some one-on-ones, so you love to see that. I love to see that Chris Olave's little hip injury, if you want to even call it an injury, was nothing too major, so you got to love that. But I do want to really quick encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be giving you injury news, updates around the roster, and all sorts of other content here at the channel for 100% free. And on top of that, we go live twice a week. So if you want to be a part of a really awesome Saints community on the internet, and especially on YouTube, join the over 28,000 members of the Who Dat Nation who have subscribed to our channel. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to subscribe now, because once the season really gets going, I mean, the coverage is going to just go through the roof. So you want to get in right now. I promise you that. And hit that sub button so we can get to 29,000 subs ASAP. So let's keep talking about the wide receivers, because there was some good news around Chris Olave, but these three players did miss practice today. They were not present. Cedric Wilson, he was dealing with a groin injury, according to Dennis Allen. Equanimous St. Brown, I didn't really see what the injury was, so I'm not going to really give him a designation. I don't want to sit here and try and figure it out or tell you guys something that's not true. So we're just going to say he's dealing with something. And Bub Means, he was dealing with a shin/lower leg injury, so that's kind of, I mean, I'm going to call it weird. I don't know. I don't really like injuries, especially when it comes to the wide receiver position, because I'm old enough to remember when Marquez Callaway was our wide receiver one. Nothing against him, but there's a lot of players that were pretty good that were dealing with injuries. And I'm just going to be honest, injuries at the wide receiver position do make me nervous. And it's not because I have no faith in the wide receiver core. It's more so that I don't love the depth behind the starters. I think that Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed are stellar players, and I think that they're both going to have really, really impressive seasons. A.T. Perry at training camp thus far hasn't really stood out. He hasn't been a massive pop on the field, but we all know what he does when the game gets going. I mean, you see it in that picture. He's mossing guys left and right and coming up with crazy big plays. Bub Means, like we said, was dealing with a little bit of an injury. Jermaine Jackson, he's a wide receiver that's a UDFA. And then on top of that, you also have Stanley Morgan Jr. and Kevin Austin Jr., who the Saints recently signed from the UFL. Now, a name that I didn't mention It's Mason Tipton, and I'm thinking he's a big-time winner here in training camp thus far. He's been making a ton of plays, and if you go to social media, you can literally just look up Mason Tipton or Spencer Rattler, and the clips are going to show up. And the fact that he's been getting reps with the first team is really, really good news. And I think that just is it's a testament to what the Saints coaching staff believes that they have right now. And this right here, this play specifically was posted on social media. Spencer Rattler's the quarterback, and you can see him right here. He is in his throwing motion, ready to release the ball. And look at that. Mason Tipton's the wide receiver where that far arrow's pointed. He hasn't even made his cut to get open, and the ball is already almost out. That is incredible anticipation. He connected the ball to Mason Tipton on a beautiful throw, very tight spiral, and then one of the coaches in the background yells, "Nice effing throw, 18." And I got to agree, nice effing throw, nice effing catch. Now, let's talk about the scrappiness, because that is a big storyline from today's practice at Saints training camp. I'm going to say it, I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to tell you why I love it here in just a second. But I got to tell you really quick about our sponsor today, and it is Game Time. And if you're a lot like me and you love going to live events, concerts, comedy shows, sports, whatever it is, you need to download the Game Time app, and you can get $20 off with your first purchase by using code CHATSPORTS. Now, Game Time has killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed. And they take the guesswork out of buying tickets to the MLB, to your favorite bands, or to your favorite sporting teams, whether it's the LSU Tigers, the Tulane Green Wave, or your New Orleans Saints. Now, they do have tickets available for the preseason. They have tickets available for the regular season. So this is your chance to go and get tickets right now for the New Orleans Saints season. And if you want to save a few bucks while doing it, use the code you see right below me. That's code CHATSPORTS, code CHATSPORTS. When you create an account, you get $20 off. Terms do apply. One more time. Create an account on the Game Time app and use code CHATSPORTS, and you will save $20 on your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Shout out to Game Time for making today's shows possible. All right, so let's talk about what John Hendrix reported around the scrappiness and around the grittiness and the physicality at Saints practice today. He said, I saw a few more scuffles today. Chris Olave, he comes back from his hip injury and he starts getting into it. I love it. I love it. I don't want anyone to get it twisted. And he got into it with Paulson Adebo a couple times. Then he got into it with Will Harris, who was competing with Ugo Amadi to be in that slot position. And then James Robinson, the running back who was on the practice squad last year, and Carl Granderson, the man who led the team in sacks last season, started going at it as well. So I got to just say this. Competition creates intensity. And that is why I love when I see scrappy football. That's why I like seeing these clips of these players talking shit to each other. That's why I like seeing these guys going at it a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see people swinging helmets, throwing fists, getting into a massive team brawls. But after a play, coming up to them after you make a play, talk a little mess, get in their ear, get in their head a little bit. Come on. Because you can't be scared to get physical. You can't be scared to talk a little mess. And you got to talk that shit. Because when it comes down to it, in the game day, when you're playing against a divisional rival, they're going to be jawing at you all game. And if you can't handle it, if you do not have a cool head, you don't know how to respond, it's not going to win. It's not going to look good. And you have already lost the mental battle, which means you probably already lost the game. So finally, in today's show, let's talk about some injury news, because I know that is a big part of why you guys clicked on today's video. So let's kick it off with Demario Davis. I don't like making this graphic. I actually hated it. Demario Davis, he left today's practice with a hamstring injury. From what it sounds like, I'm not going to say it's not major. I'm not going to say it's minor. It just, all the reports are that he left with a hamstring injury. That's it. Demario Davis, he is a tough SOB. He is not going to let a minor little injury keep him off the field. So obviously, at this point in the season, I would rather the Saints take the cautionary route, because he's such a seasoned veteran. He's so talented. You don't need him out there every single day for training camp. I would just let this hamstring injury kind of just work itself out and get back on the field whenever he can. Now, when it comes to Marshon Lattimore, we got some good news around him. He was at practice, and so was Kendre Miller, actually. They both returned, but they did not participate. So they're standing off to the side, kind of watching stuff. But it is good to see them back out and present at practice. And then we got more injury updates. A couple players in Bryan Bresee and Juwan Johnson. They were at practice. They have been dealing with a little bit of an injury issue, but they were off to the side and working with trainers, which is really, really good. And especially for a guy like Juwan Johnson, who there wasn't a timeline on when he could return, it's nice to see that his development, or not his development, but his recovery is starting to take place, and it's starting to show the results that it is going well. So really love to see that. And obviously for Bryan Bresee, want to see him out on the field because he's a very fun player. And big number 90, he's going to make some plays this year. Now, I'm just going to finish off with this. It would be so cool. I mean, it'd just be sick if the injury bug just could chill. Just like relax a little bit. You know, it's the training camp. We've had like 2 padded practices. Let's relax. Let's calm down. We're not even at the preseason yet. Like, chill. We got plenty of football all the way into January. We're sitting here on July 31st. Let's chill, injury bug. I need you to just relax a little bit, all right? Just fuck off if you will. But I need to help me out. Let's get the injury bug out of New Orleans. Let's get out of this team's locker room. And I need you to type F injuries. I hate injuries. It's the worst part of sports. It's something you can't control, but they are my least favorite part about the game because it just ruins things and it makes things like, it just stinks, man. Injuries stink, and that's the one thing all sports fans, no matter your team, no matter what you believe, we can all agree on that. So get in the comment section, type F injuries so we can keep the Saints healthy this season. Y'all stay golden. Thanks for watching today's video. We'll see you next time.